Today we're talking RPGs, miniatures, acquisitions, and expansions. All this and more in this week's Hobby News. I'm Angela, you're watching Hobby Night, now let's get to it.
Swords shatter, armor cracks, Astartes fall, but the machine spirit is immortal.
Games Workshop revealed the brand new plastic Land Raider, and it is just as tiny and derp as I remember the one from Rogue Trader. Not that I've actually seen that one in person, but I've only seen pictures of it, and this looks just like it, maybe scaled up a little bit, and I kind of love that. That's perfect. It's exactly what I was waiting for. And honestly, I especially love it with the dozer on the front. As we continue to look at these Horus Heresy era tanks, and they keep putting the dozers on the front, I've found that I just really love them. I think it's because I really just want to see bodies impaled on them. Maybe that's just Khorne taking over or something, but I really enjoy that. And yes, I know they're meant for breaking down walls and stuff, but you gotta get blood for the blood god somehow. Now up for pre-order from the Army Painter is a new paint set from their GameMaster series, a line of paints and products that was really geared towards RPGers. The first wave of this really focused on terrain. They had hot wire cutters, they had sets that include XPS foam, as well as paints really geared towards terrain painting. And it looks like this time they're focusing on characters, because they have a new paint set that's all about characters, and it comes with 20 paints, 5 models that are snapped to fit, as well as a paintbrush and of course a paint guide. But in addition to this, you also get an RPG adventure in this particular set, which I think is great for beginner GMs or somebody who's just getting into RPGs and maybe you want to get them a couple models to paint along with some sets, but really encourage them to maybe look into doing GM work themselves or just encouraging their enthusiasm from RPGs. This is a great little set to do that. It's $49.99 USD, which is not a bad price range for something that is geared towards, I think, more introductory or beginner level GMs. And honestly, I really like seeing this continuation of this particular line of paints, especially considering Army Painter already has a couple of sets that come with models as well as paints and the tools to get them ready. But because of the inclusion of the adventure, I just think it's a nice addition. Next up, I want to talk about Embracer Group because they continue to buy up a bunch of well-loved intellectual properties. And this time, it's Lord of the Rings. They have the rights to just produce content for Lord of the Rings. What this means is when Games Workshop wants to do more stuff with the Lord of the Rings game, they're now paying Embracer Group. They're going to be able to make They're going to be able to make new motion pictures, video games, board games, merchandising, theme parks, which honestly really sounds cool to me because I would love to go to a Lord of the Rings style theme park, especially if they did it and treated it kind of like a LARP in the same way that how Disney wants to do that with Star Wars and isn't exactly doing the best work with it. But if Lord of the Rings did something like that, that'd be so cool. Imagine that, it'd be awesome. They also can do stage productions with it, as well as explore other opportunities that the Tolkien Foundation didn't try previously, which honestly is pretty exciting. In the article where they talked about their acquisition of the Lord of the Rings, the CEO was very excited about Asmodee in particular because they're a board game thing. That really excites me as well. I have no idea what they have planned, but Asmodee already has Fantasy Flight under their belt. They've got Atomic Mass and Cool Mini or Not. All of these companies could do some interesting miniature-based things with the game, and I think that could be very exciting. It's that time of the video where I interrupt to tell you about my Patreon and to let you know that we just added a Discord server which all tiers get access to. So if you're wanting a way to chat with me, share with me your projects, or just tell me what board games you're playing, definitely make sure to check the link below and check out my Patreon.
In a strange world, far away. On a regular day, the littlest hamster woke up just to play. He crawled through some tubes, ran on his wheel, and ate nothing but pellets for every meal. Suddenly, the roof opened wide with a shove, and a great massive hand reached on down from above. Then our hamster hero was lifted up high by a huge hairless ape standing tall as the sky, a monstrous Who-Man. He feared he would...
But humans aren't real. Right, Mama?
That's right, dear. Who-Mans aren't real. They're much too strange to be real. Much too strange.
Moving from one fantasy realm into another, we're going to talk now about Dungeons & Dragons. Although it's not really the fantasy side of it we're talking about. We're talking about Spelljammers because it's officially out and I really want that alt cover book set because I like it. The collector in me needs it. It's probably the one I'm going to be getting. I also want to plug the fact that D&D, or Wizards of the Coast rather, recently announced a new edition of sorts to Dungeons & Dragons. Yeah, that's what they say. We're calling it One D&D, or D&D 1, and I do a full trailer reaction video covering this topic, so make sure to go check that out in the video description or the link that I put at the end of this episode. Last but not least, I just wanted to talk about something that I thought was pretty cool. Cool Mini or Not is expanding into Japan. They recently hired on Mr. Nobuaki Takerube, and he is a main writer for Cyberpunk 2020, the Pac Rim sourcebook, which is really cool. I really like those settings, so it's cool to see him working with Cool Mini or Not. They have some Cyberpunk stuff, so I don't know if he's gonna be working directly on that product line or it's gonna be other things, but regardless, it's pretty cool. They also hired Ken Watanabe, who is the former CEO of the Guild Corporation, as well as he worked on distributing White Wolf and Chaosium in Japan, which is really cool seeing these RPG people coming into the company as well for the Japanese market. The main reason that this really excites me is Japan doesn't really have a huge board gaming scene from my understanding, but I really love what they do with games just in the video game realm, and I'm kind of interested to see what they do with a more tabletop driven focus. Now I know there are miniatures and there's Gundam building and all that kind of thing in Japan already, and I also want to see some of that technology get incorporated into the Western side of things, because imagine miniatures with joints and then you could pose them. Like, how cool would that be? I have no idea if that's possible. It might just be a total pipe dream, but regardless, the prospect of the collaboration between East and West is really cool to me. It also makes me really hopeful that maybe if I'm really lucky and board games boom in Japan, I'll get a second season of the After School Dice Club anime, because gosh dang it, I need that. It's so cute and I want more of it, and just I need it, Japan, please give it to me.
This is how we have to keep the cat from messing with the news.
It's true. All right, that has been it for this week in hobby news. There was a lot of board game news, especially with acquisitions and expansions and all sorts of things happening. So let me know your thoughts about all that down in the comments below. Before I head out, I do want to give a huge thank you to my patrons for making it so that content like this can continue to happen. Thank you guys so very much. I have been Angela, and I hope you have a wonderful hobby night.